Hello and welcome. Tonight, UK Criminal Court rules that former Deputy President of the Senate, Ekweremadu, his wife Beatrice, and a doctor, Obinna Obeta, are guilty of organ trafficking, all to be sentenced on May the 5th. Following his declaration by INEC as winner of the Enugu state governorship election, Mr. Pitamba promises an all-inclusive government, vowing to leave no part of the state out. At least 2 people reported killed as suspected thugs unleash mayhem in Zamfara state, attack APC campaign offices in Gusau, the state capital.
On business news tonight, House of Representatives asks Central Bank of Nigeria to order an overhaul of electronic banking platforms in the country.
On sports news tonight, World Athletics lifts 8-year ban on Russian Track and Field Federation for state-sponsored doping, although its athletes remain banned from competitions, while Moscow continues invasion of Ukraine.
And from Abuja, military rescues 201 kidnapped victims in various operations in Borno and Kaduna states, neutralize 14 terrorists and arrest 12 terrorist logistics suppliers.
And in international news from London, Indian opposition leader Rahul Gandhi has been sentenced to 2 years in prison in a criminal defamation case.
We begin outside the shores of the country, in the United Kingdom, where former Deputy President of the Senate, Ekweremadu, his wife Beatrice, and a doctor, Obinna Obeta, have been found guilty of organ trafficking. According to the criminal court in London, the 3 persons criminally conspired to bring the 21-year-old Lagos street trader to London to harvest his kidney for the Ekweremadu's ailing daughter, Sonia. Sonia Ekweremadu was, however, found not guilty of the charge. Our London correspondent, Juliana Olainka, reports.
Well, today's verdict at the Old Bailey is the first of its kind under the Modern Slavery Act of England and Wales, and it took jurors just 14 hours to determine that the senator, alongside his wife Beatrice and Obinna Obeta, were guilty of the charges against them. Sonia Ekweremadu, the key figure in this organ harvesting plot, wept profusely when she learned that she was found not guilty. Bearing in mind, Sonia Ekweremadu gave a no-comment interview to police and did not defend herself in court. Well, over the span of 6 weeks, prosecutors were able to convince the jury that the Ekweremadus used their power, their wealth and their might to illegally traffic this 21-year-old man, who cannot be named for legal reasons, into London to harvest his organ for their sick daughter. Now, I think it's important to bear in mind that it isn't illegal to donate your kidney in this country. What is illegal is to offer a financial reward, and that's exactly what they have been found guilty of. Well, as to be expected, the verdict has garnered plenty of international headlines, but also public sympathy too. Let's not forget that Sonia Ekweremadu is still suffering from a debilitating kidney disease. In fact, during evidence read out in court, doctors confirmed that they weren't sure if a kidney donation would indeed save her life. Just 24 hours ago, the devoted wife of the senator was taking care of her daughter. Tonight, she spends her first evening in jail. We're expecting a sentencing date shortly. Juliana Olainka, reporting for Channels Television News in London.
Now, besides the guilty verdict that was handed down to the Ekweremadus for organ trafficking, this next report by our correspondent, Jeffrey Uzono, examines the challenging past 9 months of the senator who wanted to be a governor in Enugu state, but now faces a potential jail term in faraway United Kingdom.
I think that was unconscionable and unacceptable. It has to be
After spending about 19 years in the Senate, in March 2022, former Deputy Senate President Ekweremadu announced plans to run for office of the governor of Enugu State.
At this point, therefore, I believe it is time to focus on Enugu State and Enugu people, without whom I will not be who and what I am today.
But hours before the PDP primaries in June, he withdrew from the race, citing alleged manipulation, and also after holding consultations with party elders. However, the federal lawmaker's worst days were still ahead as him and his wife Beatrice were arrested and remanded in custody by the London Metropolitan Police for conspiring to traffic a minor from Nigeria for the purpose of harvesting his organ. The alleged victim was later found to be a 21-year-old man. But Mrs. Beatrice was granted bail on strict conditions in July 2022. For 6 weeks, Senator Ekweremadu, his wife Beatrice, and the doctor Obinna Obeta stood trial at the Old Bailey for facilitating the travel of a young man to the UK and allegedly criminally conspiring to exploit him for his kidney and giving to their daughter Sonia, who is suffering from a kidney problem, a situation that has led her to drop out of her master's degree program. The crime is in contravention of the UK Modern Slavery Act 2015, which prohibits forced labor, criminal exploitation, sexual exploitation, drug-related offences and organ harvesting, with penalties ranging from years in prison to life imprisonment.
Distinguished Senator Ekweremadu, the former Deputy President of the Senate.
Senator Ekweremadu's colleagues in the National Assembly also resolved to apply diplomatic pressure to ensure he gets justice, while mandating his Committee on Foreign Affairs to engage with the British High Commission. A delegation was sent to the UK to visit the senator representing Enugu West. Whilst in detention in the UK, Senator Ekweremadu was also embroiled in a court case in Nigeria where the EFCC obtained an interim order to confiscate 40 property linked to the senator in an ongoing investigation. The order was later vacated when the court agreed with Ekweremadu's counsel that the EFCC obtained the interim forfeiture order by deceit, having concealed material facts before the court. And back to the Old Bailey, after taking argument from counsels, the court on Thursday, March the 23rd, found Senator Ekweremadu, his wife Beatrice, Dr. Obinna Obeta guilty of organ trafficking to the UK. Their daughter Sonia, who did not give evidence, was found not guilty. Sentencing has been set for May the 5th. Jeffrey Uzongo, Channels Television News.
We'll definitely have more on the Deputy Senate President Ekwerimadu's conviction later on the news at 10. Following his declaration as winner of the Enugu State governorship election, Mr. Peter Mba of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, has promised to run a government that will make the people of the state proud. He is pledging to take Enugu to greater heights and see every part of the state as his constituency.
After the long wait for INEC to resume collation for the Enugu governorship election, the process resumes once again, with officials determined to bring closure once and for all. The returning officer says the nod to go ahead is coming after the lifting of the suspension placed on the collation on Monday this week and conclusion of a review of results from Nkanu East, the local government area in contention.
Total valid votes 19,246.
Votes from Nkanu East dipped from 30,350 to 16,956 for the People's Democratic Party. And for the Labour Party, it went up from 1,855 to 1,864.
There was this review, that the review on the petition against Nkanu East was sustained. I would like to now re-invite the electoral officer and the officer that collected the Nkanu East local government elections to come and represent his figure.
This announcement did not sit well with the agent of the Labour Party and others who raised some objections.
In Nkanu East, complained about non-use of papers in the conduct of elections. And now that the Commission has admitted that the case was made out, according to guidelines, where there is non-use of papers in the election, the penalty is cancellation of the result, not reduction.
The collation eventually continued and a winner is declared.
That Mba Peter Ndubisi of People's Democratic Party, PDP, having satisfied the requirements of the law is hereby declared the winner and the return elected.
And from the governor-elect is a promise of an inclusive government and development projects across Enugu State.
We're in a hurry to unleash the tech talents in our young people and grow and nurture their interest in business and vocations skills. We shall build a school of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, an innovation incubation center, as well as a skill enhancement center in each of the 3 senatorial zones. Ours shall not be an administration by a section of this state, I repeat. We shall run an all-inclusive government designed to provide an inclusive economic development for our dear state.
The final declaration of results may have brought the election cycle to a close, but it remains to be seen what steps will be taken by the losing parties who are dissatisfied with the process.
As part of that reaction from the parties that lost out, the Labour Party candidate in the Enugu State governorship election, Mr. Chijioke Edeoga, is calling on his supporters to remain calm, vowing to challenge the outcome in court. He said INEC failed to adhere to the Electoral Act, which empowers them to cancel the result in the case of overvoting or bypass of the BVAS.
The matters speak for themselves. The constitutional provisions of overvoting, the electoral law provisions for overvoting are clear. We are set to make tabulations of what is, make tabulations, and the coach touch them in legalese. But the tabulations will be scientific and empirical, and in your face, they will attach a lot to it. So if the judge, after seeing that this is the number of people who collected their cards, maybe let us say 100 collected cards, which is what you must vote with, and then 500 voted, and the law says when there's overvoting, you cancel. If you present that to a judge at the first instance, the tribunal, he reaches a determination which is not in consonance with our thinking, we will appeal. The court of appeal. If the court of appeal chooses not to also, we will also go for that. But at the point we'll have to say, okay, let it be. We'll accept the final decision of the court.
In Abuja, a group of concerned Nigerians under the aegis of Free Nigeria movement today continued their protest against the outcome of the presidential election. The group marched from the Unity Fountain to the headquarters of the Court of Appeal in Abuja to state their demand. The convener of the group, Mr. Moses Paul, claims that INEC failed to deliver on the promise on the electronic transmission of the election results, a move he says could hamper the nation's democracy. In part 2 after the break, PDP members protest in Kaduna over the outcome of the governorship election in the March 18th poll in the state. Do join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the News at 10 live on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. UK Criminal Court rules that former Deputy President of the Senate, Ekweremadu, his wife Beatrice, and a Dr. Obinna Obeta are guilty of organ trafficking, all to be sentenced on May the 5th. Following his declaration by INEC as winner of the Enugu State governorship election, Mr. Peter Mba promises an all-inclusive government, vowing to leave no part of the state out. At least 2 people reported killed as suspected thugs unleashed mayhem in Zamfara, attack APC campaign offices in Gusau, the state capital. Indian opposition leader Rahul Gandhi has been sentenced to 2 years in prison in a criminal defamation case. Moving up north, more reactions continue to trail the general elections as PDP members in Kaduna State have held a peaceful protest in the state capital to demand for the declaration of their candidate, Isa Ashiru, as the rightful winner of the March 18th governorship election in the state. The protesters, mostly women who were dressed in black, carrying placards bearing different inscriptions and led by a former Minister of Environment, Mrs. Laurentia Malam, took their protest to the Kaduna State Secretariat of the Nigeria Union of Journalists. They say the result announced by INEC is not the true reflection of the wishes of the Kaduna people. Staying with election-related matters, the Ogun State Police Command says 30 persons were arrested with 12 firearms and 25 live cartridges at various locations across the state during the governorship poll. Speaking to reporters at the state headquarters of INEC in the state capital, Abuja, the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Frank Mba, explained that the suspects were arrested for unlawful possession of firearms, inducement and vote buying during the election.
So far, so good. No issues at all. A total of 30 persons were arrested. They were arrested for various offenses, ranging from unlawful possession of weapons to disorderly behavior around polling units, conducts likely to cause breach of the peace, and also for offenses relating to the exertion of undue influence and attempt to indulge in vote buying. We also recovered a total of 12 weapons, 12 firearms of different makes and shapes. Most of them are locally fabricated shotguns. We also recovered one Beretta pistol, is an English-made pistol. We recovered a total of 25 live cartridges and 8 expended cartridges. We also have with us a total of 235 credit or ATM cards, which are very customized ATM and credit cards. Investigations are ongoing, and like we did promise on the day of the elections, we'll continue to keep citizens updated as we make progress with these cases. But you can trust us that we will certainly and surely do a good job.
Back to our story on the conviction of Deputy Senate President Ekweremadu and his wife by a London court. Well, indeed, the situation has been described as a rather unfortunate one, which should serve as a huge lesson for Nigerians, especially top government officials. Now, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Adeyinka Olumide Fushoka, has been giving some insight into the case, especially the likely implications for the Ekweremadu family and Nigeria.
Unfortunate that the name of Nigeria has to be mentioned again in this. It was noted in the international press that this, under the Modern Slavery Act of the UK, this will be the first conviction. So it's making news all over the world. And the name of Nigeria is associated with it. The fact that the person involved was a high government official in Nigeria has been mentioned, and so on and so forth, you know. So you, as a Nigerian, you feel sad that the country's name has been dragged into this. But it needs to be emphasized that the reason why that act was enacted wasn't because it's something that Nigerians do. No. Is because world a problem. So you have that enactment in many countries of the world. Is the only thing now is that the first person to be convicted of the offense of one of the offenses under that Modern Slavery Act in the UK happens to be a Nigerian. And then you had also, it was even mentioned, the fact that Ekweremadu, or the former deputy Senate president, actually participated, you know, in making a similar act in Nigeria. So you can't say the Nigerian act, we didn't say Modern Slavery Act. I mean, the UK had the reason for calling it so Modern Slavery Act, since they were the country has a historical connection with slavery. We called our own, the one made by
Ekweremadu and Co. in the Senate of Nigeria, in the National Assembly of Nigeria in 2015. I think Trafficking in Persons Prohibition, Enforcement and Administration Act of 2015. So Ekweremadu was quite aware that you were expecting to be, better educated than the average citizen about this issue. And that was one of the things taken into consideration in his conviction over there, that how can you are being hypocritical and you are doing the same thing. You know the implication of these things, and you traveled, went to do the same thing. So it just shows, and it's going to be a lesson to some of our leaders. I hope they will ever learn, that here, once a person is in a position of authority or government, it takes it. I'm not, I don't know how to put it, but I'm sympathetic in a way, because as a parent, I know what would have driven them to do that. Although when you are struggling for your own child, you should remember the child of the other person, that you shouldn't rescue your own children, without caring for others. But that's the way of some of our leaders in the country. The educational system in Nigeria is bad. Don't forget that the daughter is schooling abroad. If our university system were to be functioning very well, the daughter will probably be schooling in Nigeria. They were in government, and ASU will go on strike for months and nothing will be done. Their own solution is to take their own children abroad to school, and you now have this consequence. We hope they will learn. I think they need to understand that other countries take their laws very serious, and enforcement is very swift and strict over there. There's no sentiment about it. So you don't take what you do, your habits. I don't think you get away with in Nigeria because you are powerful, and then take it across the oceans, take it across the Atlantic Ocean to other countries. If you do, they will make an example of you, and that is what has happened here, quite unfortunately for the Ekwerimadu's family, like I said.
Let's now head to the nation's capital, and Linda Akibe is standing by from our Abuja studios. Great to have you again, Linda.
Hello, Ayotunde. Good to see you. Now we begin with security stories. No fewer than 2 persons have been reported killed, while properties have been destroyed as suspected hoodlums attacked various APC campaign offices in Zamfara state. The incident followed INEC's declaration of PDP's Dawda Lawal as the winner of the state governorship election. The state coordinator of APC Presidential Campaign Council, Senator Kabiru Marafa, says the incident should be treated as a criminal act.
We won the presidential elections, which calls for bigger celebration. 37 times than what they did, because the president won the whole country. And we have 36 states plus Abuja, that is 37. But not a single person was touched. But in Zamfara, now violence was unleashed to innocent people of our party. 2 people, is it 2 or 4? I learned 2 people, I saw corpses of 2 people. 2 people were killed, offices vandalized, windows removed, burglars removed, air conditioners removed, furniture removed, carpet removed, zinc removed, windows were removed, burglar proofs removed, toilet seats removed, even tiles in the toilet. So I cannot understand. What are we talking about? We thought that PDP is going to give bigger glory to God. Having won in a state where APC is in control. So what you ought to show is you show greater responsibility, show greater difference, that this is the type of government that we promise to give you, that is different from what is obtained on the ground. But what we are seeing today, or what we have seen, is complete reverse of what ought to be in place.
Meanwhile, at least 201 kidnapped victims have been rescued in the last 2 weeks in various military operations in Borno and Kaduna states. The Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Musa Dammadami, stated this during the bi-weekly briefing at the Defense Headquarters in Abuja. He adds that troops of Operation Wellstroke also neutralized 14 terrorists and arrested 12 terrorist logistics suppliers within the period.
Troops on fighting patrol to Fatiga village in Giwa local government area of Kaduna State and Maru local government area of Zamfara State responded to information on terrorist activities. Troops made contact with the terrorists and following the firefight, troops brutalized 5 terrorists while others fled. Troops, however, searched the general area and recovered 4 AK-47 rifles, 2 AK-47 magazines, 26 rounds of 7.62mm by 39mm special ammunition, 4 motorcycles, 1 solar panel, 1 hand pump, and a sum of 23,700 naira only. Troops equally recovered 561,200 liters of crude oil, 119,000 liters of automotive gas oil, 1 fabricated boat, 1 fiber boat, 5 pumping machines, 2 outboard engines, 10 new GP tanks, 1 tricycle, and 6 vehicles, while a total of 9 suspected criminals were apprehended. On 12 March 2023, troops arrested 2 suspected kidnappers while attempting to collect ransom for a kidnapped victim at Gedu Beki village in Kogi local government area of Kogi State. Preliminary investigations revealed that the suspect was sent to collect a sum of 2 million naira only.
Still ahead on the news at 10, the House of Representatives asked the Central Bank of Nigeria to order an overhaul of electronic banking platforms in the country. That's in business news. Join us again. Now, welcome back to the news at 10, coming to you live from Abuja. The Sultan of Sokoto and President General of the Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, Alhaji Saad Abubakar III, is asking Muslims across the country to use the holy month of Ramadan to exhibit the best virtues that Islam teaches. In a broadcast in his palace in Sokoto, Sultan Abubakar declares that today, March the 23rd, marks the first day of Ramadan. According to him, this is in accordance with Islamic law and based on the reliable reports on moon sighting received from Muslim leaders across the country. He adds that the reports have been duly verified and authenticated by the relevant bodies, including the National Moon Sighting Committee. He therefore called on all Muslim brothers and sisters to commence fasting accordingly and live peacefully with fellow Nigerians, irrespective of religious differences. And that's all from Abuja. Back to you, Ayotunde.
Well, many thanks, Linda. The Commissioner for Transport, Lagos State, Mr. Fred Oladende, says there are talks among key stakeholders from Lagos and Ogun State, the Federal Ministry of Works, towards finding solutions to the prolonged gridlock on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. This latest consultation comes on the heels of hours of traffic congestion stretching from the Kara Bridge to most parts of Lagos metropolis. Mr. Oladende also goes on to say that the Lagos State government is impressing on the Federal Ministry of Works to get the contractor to take the schedule one at a time, rather than working on all fronts simultaneously. Our correspondent, Olu Phillips, reports.
This is the new reality on the busiest road artery in Nigeria, the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, a reality which has also become a new grind for motorists. For some weeks on ending and counting, minutes have grown into several hours of travel time owing to the reconstruction of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, which has moved into the city center. The reconstruction shouldn't be a problem, but perhaps the management systems around traffic, consequences, breakdowns, work mode, and alternative roads. Some of these variables have not been at the very best of showings.
In trying to complete this project by end of April, what they have done is to embark on 3 sections of the road, and that is the toll gate or the dollar section, the beggar section, as well as OPIX, Kara section in Ogun State. And in trying to do them simultaneously, that has put a lot of pressure on Lagos State. So what do I mean by that? That carriageway is about 4 lanes, and what they've done is they've divided it into 2, and they've given us 2 lanes while they walk on 2 lanes. But unfortunately, with the demand coming from Lagos going towards OPEX, 2 lanes can't cut it.
Whether you are going into Lagos or out of Lagos, the story is the same. Morning time, lunchtime, late evening, and into the night, commuter experience is quite unpleasant.
This suffering is too much. Too much. 9 months. Almost 3 hours now. I've been here. For God's sake.
The call has been, is it not possible for Julius Berger to either finish one side of the road and make sure if you're going out, you know you have a smooth drive, and when you're coming back, you can now patiently wade through the traffic. But they're doing this simultaneously. And the second possibility in terms of what to ask is this. These guys resume work between 8 and 8:30 a.m. every day and close between 4 and 4:30 p.m. Barely 12 hours. What happens to the remaining 12, 13 hours of the remaining 24 hours? Is it possible to have these guys work from evening till the next morning? I know the excuse will be security, but this is not outskirts of Lagos. This is inside Lagos. At worst case scenario, you can actually, the Federal Ministry of Works can collaborate or have a partnership with the Inspector General of Police and deploy as little as much as 20 mobile policemen to guard them while they work here. But that's not happening. They don't work at night. And the excuse has always been, okay, we are building and it will bring inconveniences. Bear. But this is becoming unbearable, where people have to spend 4 or 5 hours fatigued going to work, fatigued returning from work. It's been over 7 years since the federal government put boots on ground to reconstruct the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. It has brought its share of pain and relief. Now at the home stretch, which many described as stretching to a break point, clearly efficiency, effectiveness and tact is required to help reduce the agony and the loss of man-hour. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
To some company news, as the world observes World Oral Health Day, oral hygiene brand Colgate is using the opportunity to inspire change by focusing on the importance of oral health. This was the rationale of its campaign in Lagos, where the company noted that oral health is indicative of the overall health, well-being and quality of life of any individual.
From Apple Junction, the Colgate campaign train drives through major roads in Amuwo-Odofin and Festac Town. In collaboration with the NYSC Lagos Health Initiative for Rural Dwellers, Colgate is raising public awareness of oral health issues and the importance of oral hygiene. The road walk culminates at Road 23 shopping complex, where free oral health checkpoints are set up for members of the community.
You're supposed to be seeing your dentist every 6 months for a checkup. That's the gospel Colgate is passing. One, you brush twice daily, then every 6 months. You maintain seeing your dentist every 6 months for a checkup. Doing that, I could bet you won't have issue with your teeth, because if any issue, it tends to arise. Your doctor will have seen it and tell you this and this has to be done before it gets worse.
What we're taking home is that everybody's aware of their health, especially their dentures. They have free access. If you have issues with your health, you can also check it out here. And then when you are living here, you go home with something from Colgate, and of course you go home with something from NYSC as well.
Brand manager Colgate speaks more on the essence of the campaign and how Colgate range of products is helping consumers sustain oral health and fight oral diseases.
That people can smile. Colgate is all about smile. Let me also add, we have a new initiative which is called My Tooth Doc. Colgate is all about making people to smile. My Tooth Doc is an initiative by Colgate Tolerance. In other words, a person can just sit down in his house and chat a particular number. you understand, via WhatsApp. And that number tells the person about his or her oral hygiene. It helps the person to protect the person's teeth from cavity. If there are any challenges, instead of you rushing to the dentist, you can just sit down in the comfort of your home and chat that number. That's the My Two Doc campaign in respect to this.
Since 2013, the annual World Oral Health Day has continued to draw participation from brands like Colgate and voluntary organizations in campaigns of oral hygiene so that government, health associations and the general public can work together to achieve healthier mouths and happier lives.
Nigerians with plans to own luxury cars have been asked to take advantage of the GAC Motors partnership with Union Bank to deliver cars that can be paid for over 5 years. During an MOU signing ceremony in Lagos, the management of both companies explained that the scheme is for all GAC vehicles, which are to be delivered at almost zero interest rate for all Union Bank customers anywhere in the country.
Since its penetration into Nigeria's automobile industry in 2014, GSM Motors has continued to own its voice in the environment in spite of the competition there. And in demonstration of its determination to get that product into more hands, it's forming an alliance with Union Bank, which prides itself as a simpler, smarter bank.
Photo, please come back.
We believe we are able to supply a really affordable price to Nigerian consumer. At the same time, we are expanding our national service and also sales office. We call 3S Shop to meet all the end user to easily to access the car facility.
The partnership is to ensure ease of purchase of all classes of vehicles by GSM Motors through an easy payment method.
In certain conditions, the interest rates go as low as 0%. We have put the terms and conditions and the services that are provided to the to this campaign is, I think, it beats all previous products.
In addition to other features, the vehicles are eco-friendly.
When you drive on the Nigerian road, no matter the peculiarity of the road, the car still drives smooth and comfortable. So that's one of the most important features of this vehicle. Another feature about it is the technology. So most of the new versions of the GAC cars are with Euro 6 engine, and Euro 6 engine saves, carbon. Right, so when we have emission, the emission that is being transmitted from the car to the environment is very low.
The customer presents a pro forma invoice for the choice of the GAC brand of vehicle that they are interested in, and then they fund their account to the equity contribution. The loan is disbursed, GAC is paid, and then the monthly deductions begin as the customer drives home with the vehicle or is delivered to the destination.
GSM Motor prides itself as combining quality and innovation, while Union Bank parades a bragging right of being Nigeria's most reliable and trusted banking partner with over 106 years. These credentials are what both institutions promise to leverage on to deliver new cars to customers across country.
It's time now for some business news with Anne Waldo.
Thank you, Ayotunde. Hello and welcome to Business News. The House of Representatives has asked the Central Bank of Nigeria to direct commercial banks to overhaul their existing electronic banking platforms for efficient conduct of online banking operations. This follows a motion by lawmaker Sergius Ogun at plenary today.
The House is disturbed that the ineffectiveness or difficulty in using internet banking services across the online banking platforms of most commercial banks in Nigeria has brought untold hardship, suffering and difficulties on Nigerians in the past 3 months. The House is worried that if nothing is done by the Central Bank of Nigeria and the commercial banks to address these difficulties or ineffectiveness, Nigerians will continue to suffer untold hardship and loss of monies to unsuccessful electronic bank transactions. The House resolves, 1, urge the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to direct all commercial banks in the country to immediately overhaul their existing online/electronic banking platform for efficiency and ease of conducting electronic banking operations.
Well, the Bank of England has hiked up interest rates after UK inflation unexpectedly jumped higher last month, just in a bid to tame soaring prices. The BOE increased rates from 4% to 4.25%, and that's the highest recorded since October 2008. This is the 11th time in a row in less than 18 months that the Central Bank of the United Kingdom has hiked interest rates. Meanwhile, the bank's MPC says that it expects the surge in inflation to cool sharply in the coming months. And back here in Nigeria, stocks made a U-turn into negative territory today, closing red, lower at 0.02%. Kelly Agiga has the details.
Glad to have you join us again on the Stock Markets Report at this time. I think we are beginning to see the reaction to the central bank's 50 basis point interest rate hike. Well, it's a marginal loss of 0.02% today as investors resume their sell-off amid the earnings season. Take a look at the offshore index, of course, 0.02% closing, of course, in red. We check out the market cap as well, of course, 29.920 trillion naira. Of course, looking at the activity chart, we see the turnover was mixed. The market traded lower in terms of volume, while, of course, value inched up by over 5% to 1.39 billion naira we see here in the green. Check out the volume there at 117 million. Of course, the deal stays, of course, in the 2,000s, 2,575. Let's check out the key sectors now, as they're not looking too good either. The banking index, for instance, was dragged by Access Holdings and GTCO, while consumer goods index got hammered following losses in Dangote Sugar and, of course, PZ Cousins. And look at this, the consumer index 0.04%, of course, in red. The banking sector 0.45%, and of course we also see insurance there at 0.42%. I mean, one wonders what exactly is playing out here with this sector. Well, let's check out the top gainers. We see all in green, of course, we see the lead there, 0.48%, 0.48 naira rather, of course, 9.09%, and of course, followed by Transcorp at 8.32%, and closing, of course, at 6.90 naira, and of course, Academy is next at 1.29 naira. Where the two days of gains fluke, and our investors hopping on the cautious train. We'll watch and see how things play out in the final trading day. That's tomorrow. That's the Stock Market Report at this time. I'm Kelly Agiga. It's back to you.
Thanks for watching Business News Tonight. I'm Anne Nwawadu. The rest of the news at 10 continues now with Ayot Sunday.
Thank you so much, Anne. This is not the best of times for Indian opposition leader Rahul Gandhi, as he has been sentenced to jail. Well, the case against him was filed on the basis of a complaint by Purnesh Modi, a BJP lawmaker who said Mr. Gandhi's comments had defamed the entire Modi community. For now, he remains out of jail on bail for 30 days. He has vowed to appeal the conviction. Here's Simon Pusey with more on this and other international stories in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Indian opposition leader Rahul Gandhi has been sentenced to 2 years in prison in a criminal defamation case. Mr. Gandhi was convicted by the court in Gujarat state for 2019 comments about Prime Minister Narendra Modi's surname during an election rally. The Congress Party MP was present in court for sentencing, which comes a year before general elections are due. Country to grow. Speaking at the election rally in Karnataka state in April 2019, ahead of the last general election, Mr. Gandhi had said, "Why do all these thieves have Modi as their surname? Nirav Modi, Lalit Modi and Narendra Modi." The case against him was filed on the basis of a complaint by Purnesh Modi, a lawmaker from India's governing Bharatiya Janata Party, who said that Mr. Gandhi's comments had defamed the entire Modi community. French workers angry with President Emmanuel Macron and his plan to raise the pension age have marched across France as part of a nationwide day of protests. Across French provinces, thousands of protesters marched in the streets holding banners and signs and chanting slogans to demand Macron to withdraw the reform. Opinion polls have long shown that a majority of voters were opposed to delaying the retirement age by 2 years to 64. Voters were further angered by the government's decision last week to push the changes through Parliament without a vote. Israelis protesting judicial reforms have scuffled with police in Tel Aviv. Protest organisers called for escalated disruptions throughout the country in what they dubbed a day of shutdown against reforms that they fear would subordinate Israel's Supreme Court to the executive and foster corruption. Though it has yet to be written into law, the judicial overhaul plan has stirred concern abroad for Israel's democratic health. Polls have found that most Israelis want it shelved or amended to satisfy a national consensus. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak says he's very pleased with the level of support for his reworked Brexit deal after a large majority of lawmakers voted in favour of the Stormont Brake element of the Windsor Framework.
Ayes to the right, 515. The noes to the left, 29.
Sunak won the backing of Parliament on Wednesday for a key element of a reworked post-Brexit deal on Northern Ireland, despite opposition from the province's biggest unionist party and some of his own lawmakers.
I was really pleased yesterday that there was very strong support for the Windsor Framework, and that's because it's the right deal for Northern Ireland. It's good for families, for people, for businesses, for communities across Northern Ireland. It restores the balance in the Belfast Good Friday Agreement, secures Northern Ireland's place in our precious union, and makes sure that Northern Ireland has proper sovereignty. That's why it's a good deal. I'm pleased that it commanded broad support, and we can look forward to a better and brighter future.
A town on the outskirts of Los Angeles has been hit by a rare tornado that's damaged multiple commercial buildings. Video posted on social media showed the tornadic winds sucking up debris and swirling it into the air over Montebello in South California. The storm marked the 12th so-called atmospheric river since December to sweep the US West Coast. The deadline for interested parties to submit new bids to buy Manchester United has been extended, having originally been set for 9 p.m. tonight. The only two bidders to declare their interest, Ineos owner Jim Ratcliffe and Qatari banker Sheikh Jassim, requested the deadline to be extended as they're yet to submit revised bids to buy the club. It is not clear when the deadline for Jim Ratcliffe and Jassim is to submit their bids. And a zebra has been recaptured after escaping from a zoo in South Korea, with pedestrians bemused by the rare sight. In a video provided by the Seoul Gwangjin fire station, the zebra was seen walking in an alley around residential buildings, with locals clearly surprised by the spectacle. Rescue workers eventually fired a tranquilizer dart at it. The zebra subsequently collapsed on the ground before it was wrapped up into a net and loaded onto a truck. The zebra was later returned safely to Seoul Children's Grand Park, where the animal had escaped from. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. World Athletics has voted to end its 8-year ban on the Russian Athletics Federation, but the country's athletes and those of Belarus will remain excluded in international competition because of the ongoing separate ban over the invasion of Ukraine. Russia's athletics ruling body was banned in late 2015 after the discovery of massive state-sponsored doping and related cover-ups and a failure to meaningfully address the issue. And Super Eagles forward Victor Osimhen says experience will be key when the 3-time African champions file out against Guinea-Bissau in tomorrow's Africa Cup of Nations qualifier in Abuja. Osimhen, who is Italian Serie A top scorer with 25 goals and has already netted 5 goals for the Super Eagles in the qualifying campaign, is expected to lead the team's attack against the Wild Dogs.
A win, first of all. but it won't be easy because we have to respect the Guinea-Bissau as a team also. But I think we have a huge squad filled with a bunch of talented players, and I think we have a really good chance to win on Friday. Just like I said, that it won't be easy, but I believe we are ready, and I think we're gonna get it. It's been tough. The coach has been doing amazing job so far, and the players also are committed. We are really ready mentally, physically. We are really ready, and on come Friday we're gonna give our all to make sure we get the win, both home or away. I think the team is ready.
We hope they're going to make us proud tomorrow. Let's move on now. UEFA has opened a formal investigation into FC Barcelona for a potential violation of the European football governing body's legal framework regarding payments made by the club to a company owned by a senior refereeing official. A Barcelona court agreed to take on the case last week after prosecutors filed a complaint over what they alleged were payment of 7.3 million euros from 2001 to 2018 to firms owned by Jose Nguerrero. Nguerrero was vice president of refereeing committee of the Spanish Football Federation from 1993 to 2018 under the then president Victoriano Sanchez Aminio. And Tyson Fury has blamed Alexander Usyk for their undisputed heavyweight championship fight falling through. The WBC titleists had looked on course, so box unified WBO, WBA and IBF champion Usyk on April the 29th. But despite a long negotiation period, the two teams could not reach a conclusion, and talks finally collapsed on Wednesday. And that's it on Sports News. I'm Jeffrey Ozong's back to Ayotunde for the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Jeffrey. And the main news again. A UK criminal court today ruled that former Deputy President of the Senate, Mr. Ekweremadu, his wife Beatrice, and a doctor, Obinna Obeta, were guilty of organ trafficking, all to be sentenced on May the 5th this year. We also told you the governor-elect of Enugu State, Mr. Peter Mbah of the PDP, has promised to run a government that would make residents of the state proud, just as he vowed to take Enugu to greater heights. An Indian opposition leader, Rahul Gandhi, has been sentenced to 2 years in prison in a criminal defamation case filed against him by a PJB lawmaker, Pranesh Modi. That's the news at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Good night.